Okay, it's still in Banyan, Philippines, the Laguna region. This is the street that I live on. That's a house. That's a house. And there's an apartment building on the other end of that. I've been showing, a lot of places. Like this house right here. The person recently moved out. We don't know if he abandoned it or if he's traveling abroad to work. Because a lot of Filipinos do. They go to work in other countries. Neighbor over here, his girlfriend, she's in Kuwait working. My wife actually worked in Hong Kong as a maid and caregiver for an elderly grandmother that lived there. But we're not quite sure what happened, or if he just abandoned the place or what. Yeah, this is the street that I live on. I live on me and my wife and my stepdaughter, soon to be my adopted daughter. A couple of houses there. One is 2 stories, the other one is 3. But anyway, right here, this is where I live. Okay. There's 3 apartments here. I have when you go through the gate to the parking here, I live in the first one. It's a small 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. The next one is a little bit bigger than mine, and then the one on the very end is the biggest. I'm paying 10,000 Philippine pesos a month, which is roughly $175 a month. But this is just me, my wife, and my stepdaughter. Me and my wife have 1 bedroom with the aircon there, and then my daughter has this bedroom with the aircon there. And then on the other side of this wall right here where the power meters are is the bathroom, the toilet, the shower. Now one thing about here is people don't really use toilet paper. They have a bidet. You clean your butt with a bidet and you flush the toilet. The street lights down through there, the big ones, those are solar powered. They just installed all of these recently. They're going to be phasing out the ones that run on the city power. Lots of cats and dogs on this street. A bunch of kittens up here. Yeah, parking for 2 cars. And I don't have a car. I have a CUDA e-bike. We park it out here. And we plug it in at night to charge it. Small living room. But again, like I said, there's just 3 of us. We got a 55-inch screen TV hanging on the wall. What they call a dirty kitchen where we do our cooking. It's in the back. It's separate from the rest of the house. Eventually, we will be buying a house. I'm hoping to get at least a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. 2 bedrooms for, a bedroom for me and my wife, a bedroom for my stepdaughter, and then a bedroom for guests, for people who come to visit. Yeah, not too long ago we had a scheduled power outage, and everybody was sitting outside enjoying the night air. Around through here, not a lot of people sitting outside at night, but when you go farther down the street and over, you'll see kids, parents sitting outside and kids outside playing badminton, volleyball, Sorry, it's spelled S-A-R-I. And I guess it's pronounced sorry. Several little stores like that, little mom and pop like country stores, A lot of stuff like that in the neighborhood. A couple of restaurants. black cat. And of course, like I said, my neighbor here, right now he's in the hospital. He had a stroke. He's got a blood clot in the brain. He's in Manila because he has a sister in Manila who's there taking care of him. But he rents out a couple of rooms. There's a dog, a cat. I don't know where the roosters are. I'm hoping they're gone because, well, you wake me up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking someone came and got his roosters to take care of them because there's a lot of cockfighting here. Little kitten there. Another e-bike right up there. Another Cuda like the one I have, except that one's silver, mine's red. Tricycles. The guy here, he works on tricycles. He does mechanic work for the tricycles in the area. See, the little black and white kitten there kind of reminds me of the cat I had in America, Maya. And that's one of her kittens. And she looks a bit like Maya, the Maya I had. But yeah, I've shown all these other videos. I thought I'd just show where I live. It's a quiet little area, except for the roosters, of course. Sometimes the dogs will be barking late at night. Sometimes you get the motorbikes racing up and down the streets. Yeah, I pay 10,000 Philippine pesos a month for mine. That's $170, $175, depending on the value of the peso each month when I pay my rent. Right now, my wife is over in Adelina with family. It's a niece's birthday. They're over celebrating drinking. And since I don't drink, I don't like to hang out with them when they're drinking because they're always trying to pressure me into drinking alcohol. And a couple of reasons why I quit drinking. Number one, when I drink, I can be a very mean person if someone pushes my buttons, And two, I'm diabetic, I don't need just, the carbs from the alcohol, raising my blood sugars. Since moving here, I've gotten my diabetes well under control without medication, I gave up all the junk food that I was eating in America, all the soda that I was drinking in America. I drink mostly water now. I've lost 2 pant sizes. Lost all that body fat, all that tummy fat that I had. I lost 2 pant sizes eating here. Not eating a lot of processed foods. I eat mostly fresh meat, fresh fruits and vegetables that you get from the wet markets here. And the wet markets, some of them are small, and like the one in Binyan, it's huge. And it's basically open 24 hours. So, yeah. And you get, your fresh meat and vegetables and fruits coming, straight from the farms, out in the provinces. None of this, processed, cows and chickens and pigs that are, inside, that are inside a tiny cage, can't move, and they're fed corn, These range fed, free range, eating grass, no antibiotics, no growth hormones, no genetically modified fruits and vegetables to, so that they can grow in a, in a harsh environment. Everything here has taste that you cannot believe. Unless you're old and you grew up in a small town, a little farming town, country town where you got your fresh meat and vegetables, fruits and vegetables from the local farms, And even in the States now, a lot of fruits and vegetables, they're GM, that you go to a farmer's market, and a lot of the fruits and vegetables, they're genetically modified to grow in a harsh climate. And so they don't have the same flavor as they do like here. Philippines is a combination of first, second, and third world countries and cultures. It's, but it's just, it's amazing. I love it here. In the States, I'd be out walking, I'd say hi to someone, and they would look at me like they stepped in dog poop and they were barefoot, and it was my fault that they stepped in it, you know? People are rude, you know? You look at them and they're, what are you looking at? You know? Here, you say hello to someone, they say hi back. A lot of the times, if they're sitting outside, like here, you know, at night, sitting outside enjoying the cool breeze, you know, the cool air, or cooler air, because it's still not really cool because it's still in the 80s, you know, all night long, all the way through until the morning, and humid. And they'll be sitting out there, they'll invite you to sit down, have a drink with them, shoot the breeze, you know, talk. And they ask you where you're from and what's it like where you're from, you know, and what do you like about what brought you here, what do you like about here compared to where you came from, you know. They're honestly friendly. And even those that don't have a lot, you know, because this is like a middle income, you know, in America. This is like middle income for the Philippines right here in these neighborhoods. But you go to the slums, and the people are still happy, smiling. They give you the shirt off their back, you know. They make shacks out of whatever materials they can get their hands on. But they got food, they're clean, their clothes are clean, and they're happy. They're happy to be alive, they're happy to have a roof over their head. You know, you go to America, nah. American homeless could not live like the people do here in the slums. They could not do it. You know, and there's really not. You can't really say homeless. Because like I said, these people, they make a shack out in the middle of nowhere. You know, and then pretty soon an entire village springs up around the shacks. You know, like in Tondo, which is in Manila. You know, really bad, you know, slum area there. People build their shacks out of whatever they can get their hands on. No electricity, no running water, but you know, they get water, like, you know, from the water stations here, you know, that purify the water in the 5-gallon jerry cans, you know, 5-gallon water jugs, you know. If you understand what jerry can is, it's kind of like those big red 5-gallon gas cans that are skinny and you know, long. You see them on the back of off-road vehicles all the time, but they're made out of plastic here, you know, and they got a little spout on them that you can, you know, pour water into a glass. And they find a way to make money. There's people that walk the streets that are selling homemade crafts, you know, like hot pads, you know, for people, you know, to cook with, grab pots and pans with, you know. Hand towels. You know, hand towels is a big thing here. People wear it around the back of their neck. When they're sweating, they use it to wipe their face. You know, people walk the streets selling those. You know, and they make them from whatever material they can get their hands on. You do have your beggars, you know. People who they're basically, Social Security is not enough for them to, you know, live in a house or live in their house anymore. You know, they abandon the house because they can't afford the taxes, they can't afford the utilities, so they wind up living in these slums with the shacks. You know, but you know, like I said, our homeless in America, they couldn't do it. And the biggest problem with American homeless is so many of them have they're drug addicts, or they have mental problems. But like here, no, that's not a big deal. You know, there's not a lot of mental illness. Yeah, a lot of birth defects here. You know, I see a lot of people, you know, with birth defects. But they're still smiling, you know, still got a smile on their face. Happy to be alive. Happy to spend time with their family. I mean, America used to be like this. People happy talking to their neighbors, saying hi to complete strangers. The United States of America used to be like this, but not anymore. Everything became too corporate. Inflation, when we were taken off of the gold standard and got involved with the World Bank and the United Nations and all that other BS, and corporations started, just kept getting greedier and greedier and greedier and raising the prices, and and people, struggling to be able to pay their rent and everything. Too many people living in their cars now, or in motorhomes or travel trailers, in certain states because, well, the government doesn't care and the corporations don't care. Yeah, the government here just as corrupt as anywhere else, from what I've been told. But that's anywhere in the world. You're going to find corruption. Power breeds corruption. As long as you don't, focus on that, you don't let that affect how you live, then you're fine. But the people here, they have a totally different look on life, a mentality when it comes to life. Be happy. Avoid conflict. Family comes first. Take care of your family. There are places here where people live with the, grandparents, and their children and the children's children and then their children all live in the same house, And the houses keep getting passed down through the generations. Taking care of family. But they don't have a lot, and they know they don't have a lot, but they're happy to have what they've got. If more people could be like that, all these other countries would be doing so much better. But here, they see no reason to judge. They see no reason to be materialistic. They see no reason to criticize someone, or to insult someone. It's live your own, it's live your life, be happy, Do unto others as you would have others do unto you, as the Bible goes. Because, well, this is a very, strong Christian country, Very devout, very faithful. And not like a lot of Christians in America. Oh, I'm such a good Christian. And look at you. You don't go to church every Sunday. I mean, they're judging you. Here, they don't judge you. Because they know it's not their spot. It's not their place to judge you. And like I said, they don't, they try to avoid conflict here. They don't like conflict. So, why create drama? Enjoy your life, live your life, let everybody else live their life their ways. But if you're looking for a place to retire, to get away from the stress of the United States or the Western world, where, you can't even go to the gas station without someone saying something rude or ignorant to you. You go to the grocery store and people, and because you're not dressed as nice as everybody else there, they look down on you, like you're white trash, Philippines, great place to move to. Great place to retire. If you're looking to party, yeah, go to Manila. Go to Cebu. Go to Angeles City. Go along the coast to the beach towns, where all the tourist traps are. If you want a nice, relaxed life, I recommend Laguna, the Laguna region, San Pedro, Santa Rosa, Binion, Southwood City, Calamba, places like that, where tourists don't go. Cost of living, very affordable. Food, very affordable and good. Friendly people, friendly neighbors, quiet neighborhoods. Yeah. Move here and retire. But I do have to say this. If you're an older gentleman, in your 50s, 60s, 70s, okay, and you meet a woman online who's in her 20s, use the head on your shoulders. Be smart. She's not interested in you as a love, a partner, a husband. She's after your money. But then I can say the same thing about that anywhere in the world. Any country in the world. You got a girl who's young enough to be your daughter or granddaughter, claiming to show interest in you, claiming to be in love with you. Think with the head on your shoulders, not the one between your legs. Okay? Not happening. I've seen a lot of videos of what they call expats here, Westerners who come here, and they hook up with a girl that's a lot younger than them, and that girl uses them for their money. Pretty soon the guy has no money and has no way to get back to the country he came from, and she used that money to support herself and her family. Okay? You meet a woman close to your age, like me. I'm 61 years old, and my wife is 50. She's only 11 years younger than me. 11 and a half years younger than me. Okay? We're in love. Okay? She's not using my money to help her family. Okay? And even she works. She does work online. Because we're looking to buy a house. I'm here on my SSDI. And with just my money, we could live a comfortable life. But we want something a little better. We want a house to call our own. And a house to pass on to her daughter, my stepdaughter, soon to be my adopted daughter. Okay? She does Upwork online. So, yeah. And the way you can tell that a Filipino, for Filipina, as they call a woman from the Philippines, the way you can tell she loves you, she's always feeding you. Always trying to always cooking for you, cleaning up for you, doing laundry for you, Like my wife, every time I'll just barely wake up, and she'll be like, "Are you hungry?" It's like I just woke up. Give me time to fully wake up, and then I'll be hungry. As soon as I open my eyes, I'm not ready to eat. And and every time I turn around, "Are you hungry? What do you want to eat?" And even though she feeds me several times a day, I lost 2 pant sizes because of the diet that I have here. A lot of rice, yeah. Ugh. A lot of rice, a lot of chicken. They eat a lot of chicken and rice here. I will occasionally eat chicken, but I prefer to have pork or beef. But I will have chicken. And of course, they have rice with every meal. They have eggs, fried eggs and rice. For breakfast. Me, I have Quaker Oats for breakfast. I introduced my wife and stepdaughter to grilled cheese sandwiches. Also introduced them to pulled pork barbecue sandwiches. Eat a lot of corn. Yeah, corn doesn't digest, but hey, it tastes good. I love corn. Butter the corn up really good. Sprinkle a little salt on it. Delicious. Go to McDonald's here sells chicken and rice. Okay, chicken legs, chicken breasts, chicken wings, fried chicken and rice. Wendy's, same thing, fried chicken and rice. Burger King doesn't, of course. Burger King doesn't do that. But Wendy's and McDonald's does. 7-Eleven's all over the place. Of course, 7-Eleven's, I think, is owned by a Chinese company now. A little white puppy, he's letting somebody know he needs water. Anyway, yeah. If you want to retire, Philippines, great place. My advice, stay away from the tourist traps. You know, tourist locations like Manila, again, Manila, Cebu, Angeles City, coast, you know. Don't really move to a province unless you've got a lot of money to retire on. So you buy a house, because in the provinces, not a lot of modern conveniences there, like malls. See, where I live, I'm within walking distance of a mall. I'm within walking distance of a hospital. I'm within walking distance of a McDonald's, several local little restaurants, 7-Eleven, everything. You know, I can be there in less than 10 minutes walking. I joke that I could be having a heart attack and could walk to the hospital from here. You know, it's a city, but I live in the suburbs, as we say in America. I live in the suburb, you know. Great place. It just all depends on what you are looking for. But I will advise, when you come here, don't start fights with the locals. Don't insult the locals, because you insult the locals, you insult their culture or anything like that, they can have you arrested and have you deported out of the country and banned from ever returning. The government here does not take kindly to people insulting, you know, the Philippine citizens or the Philippine culture, you know. Come here with an open mind and a kind heart, and you'll fit right in. All right, well, thank you for watching. Give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe to my channel. Next month, I will be going to the coast, to the beaches. I'll be putting a video up there because my birthday is next month, and going to go celebrate my birthday, and then my wife, one of her friends' birthday is also the first week of next month. So we're going to go and celebrate both birthdays while we're there on the beach. All right, thanks for watching.